Quick message before today's webinar. If you are involved with or know any events that require ticketing or admissions, we have a purpose-built platform just for ticket events. Like RunSignup, it's free to use and provides the same marketing and event day tools to help you put on a seamless event. For more information, visit TicketSignup.io. You can schedule a call there or just start creating your event for free today. Now on to the webinar.
All right. So this is Brian Jenkins. I have Jen Gaynor with me, who is kind of running the webinar, and I have Daniel Beasley with us as well, a new team member who is actually working on the RunSignup AI chatbot. And so if you have questions that I'm not capable or Jen's not capable of answering, we've got Daniel here to help us out. We're definitely excited to share some of the ways that we can work with you to use AI. So this isn't an aspirational AI conversation. This is very much a, here is ways that you can use AI today. So hopefully there's a few things you'll take away from this conversation. We like to cover a couple housekeeping items just before we get right into the presentation. The first thing is that this is completely recorded, so that if you have to leave, something comes up, don't worry, we're going to record this. Also, the slides that you see on your screen are going to be sent to you after the webinar. So if you're interested in digging into the slides more, we'll send those to you. And then finally, if you have questions, feel free to shoot those into the question section of GoToWebinar, and we'll try to answer them. If they're really good questions or we see a trend of lots of people asking the same questions, we'll hold those questions till the end and then go over those at the end. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So Jen, let's go to the next slide. All right, so what is our agenda today? So the first thing is kind of setting a basis of how do you think about AI? Obviously, there's tons of articles, there's tons of videos, lots of discussions about AI, but as you probably have figured out, there's really not many discussions about AI for running races or triathlons, things like that. We're going to talk about AI for customer support, AI for race optimization, AI for data analysis, and how to maintain an internal playbook. Next slide. So how to think about AI. So go ahead to the next slide, Jen. The most important things to start setting parameters is that AI can do things that humans may not be as good at, or we take longer. Like the first thing that it can do really, really well is recognize patterns and make recommendations. A good example, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in the data analysis, is say you took your last 5 years of participant data and it noticed a trend that there is more women participating in your event between, say, 18 and 24. Obviously, if you did some data analysis in Excel, you might have figured that out, but the AI could potentially figure that out in less than a minute. It also can perform calculations. Do need to check their work, but it can very quickly perform data calculations much faster than, unless you're an Excel genius, it may not be the easiest thing for you to do. AI can also access a large library of documents and find answers to questions and kind of synthesize that information in a way that you can understand, whereas Google might give you a bunch of links and then you have to click through those links or click through those videos. It can also create content, which I'm sure many of us on there have used that specific feature as like, okay, I want to put a prompt in and then I'm asking it to create a marketing email for my upcoming event. One of the other things that not many people I've seen used is it can automate repetitive tasks. We're going to talk about that a little bit later too. So what does AI need you to do? It needs you to create the prompts. It needs you to provide creativity, as well as the actual ideas provided. It does not have ideas on its own. It needs you to do that. You have to understand what questions to ask. And part of the process of learning and using AI is figuring out what's a good question versus what's a not optimal question. The same two questions that are trying to get the same outcome with different answers can really change your opinion on how well that AI is performing. Meaning, the better your prompt is and the more that you can optimize your prompt, the better output you're going to get from AI. Obviously, many people have heard about double checking accuracy and limiting hallucinations. Each version of AI that comes out seems to be a bit better, but it doesn't mean that it is not without error, in that in the previous versions of ChatGPT, if it gave 20 answers, one of them was wrong and you had to figure out which one. You also have to kind of check inputs for content. I've had experiences where I have used ChatGPT and it has just slipped um, in incorrect content in the middle of 100% correct content. So just kind of like, I don't know where it came up with that. So just be very careful with that. And then also, just general common sense and ethical judgments. The AI is not going to do that. It's just up to you to make those choices. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Working AI into your day. So the right-hand side of the screen just shows some, and this is some. There is a large volume of AI tools, especially if you start getting, drilling into more niche areas of AI. But these are just kind of like the big companies. What I kind of express to people is find a particular tool that you like, that you feel comfortable using, and use it regularly. It is very hard to learn new tools like this by trying all of them. I have tried all of the tools on this screen, and I still kind of end up on ChatGPT um, more than the others, and then Google AI Studio probably second. Um, I think it will be helpful if you kind of pick one and stick with one. Like, so if you are a Google Workspace client, then you have access to Gemini and Google AI Studio as part of that. If you're a Microsoft shop, you already kind of have access to Copilot and some of the other tools. So try to pick one, use it for, give it several weeks to get yourself familiarized with it. The other thing is that I find sometimes that people kind of use AI in sometimes too broad of terms instead of trying to be very focused on, for example, if I'm working on my turkey trot right now, is what specific things are on my task list for this week or that I'd like to get done over the next month? And are there opportunities for me to have AI help me? And so what I might do is put in my event and everything about my event, the link, the description, when the event is, everything, and then ask for a marketing schedule or ask for help designing a medal. Just see what it can do and where you get interested, because having a successful experience with AI really starts with being specific. I found it's not that interesting if you just say, well, tell me what you can do. And then the more that you use it, the more likely you are to find value, because these tools, you will run into some frustration in that the free version of these tools have pretty severe credit limitations or things like that. And so if you get to the point that you're comfortable, you may decide that you want to pay for some of these tools because ChatGPT, for example, like the team account's like $20 a person, but you want to be confident that you're getting value out of that $20. Next slide. So AI for customer support, and we can go to the next slide for that. So this is something we are very excited about. The RunSignup AI chatbot is now out for about 5 or 6 events now, and we're starting to collect data. We're starting to get feedback from customers, and it's pretty exciting for us because we are really interested to see how this impacts our customers. What we believe is that this can dramatically reduce customer service for events. Hopefully, like the email volume, we're hoping by 70 to 80%, and we've got some quotes to kind of back that number up. This is going to give you the ability to upload your frequently asked questions into RunSignup. We just came out with a frequently asked questions component in website v2. And also all the information about your race is going to be eventually connected to the RunSignup chatbot. That's not quite done yet, but that's something that's on the to-do list. You're going to have the ability to name your chatbot. So like say it's a turkey trot, I might call it the Gobblebot. And you can then link to link your agents from your race website. So we're going to provide you with a link for your chatbot. So it's not just living on RunSignup. It could live on your Facebook page. It could live on your website. It could live in your Instagram section. So people can get to your chatbot and get questions. And so like, what types of questions can it answer? Like right now, it's like, when's packet pickup? Where's packet pickup? Can you tell me about the course? What size t-shirts are answered? Whatever you document in your race and then in your FAQs, that's what the chatbot knows. It does not know anything that is not documented by you. It's not going to hallucinate. It's just going to say, I don't know, if someone asks a question it doesn't know the answer to. And I mentioned Daniel Beasley earlier. Daniel is a new member of the team. He originally created Q.ai, and that's how we started working together. And so now he's joined our team and is taking his knowledge and applying that to the RunSignup AI chatbot. The goal is to have a wide release for all customers to be able to use this. You will have to be on website V2 in order to be able to use this, but we're hoping by kind of late fall, early winter to make this available for everyone. And one question I've got a lot is that, is this going to cost money? No, this is absolutely going to be included in RunSignup, just like our email marketing. We are not going to be charging extra for this. We see this as a way for us to invest in our customers and make your lives better. Next slide. So here is a quote from one of the people who has been using the AI chatbot for about a year. We immediately noticed emails nearly came to a halt, so much so that we thought that I was worried something was broken, but it turned out the AI agent was just doing its job, answering questions like a trained team member. In the end, we saw an 80% reduction in emails. Participants were getting answers faster than ever, and we're now saving 5 to 10 hours a week on support. So this is what caught our eye. This is what gets us excited, is that we can use this new AI technology along with the RunSignup team combined to reduce these emails. And a lot of these emails are very basic things, not really complicated questions. It's just, where's packet pickup again? And being able to, have someone who's working 24/7. And right now, the capability of the bot is essentially a trained intern. And that's the base level that this is at, and it's only going to get better from there. Next slide. All right. So this is an example of one of the chatbot agents. And so our customer Negative Split has a number of chatbots that they're working with. And they have an event that is a very challenging event from a customer service standpoint. It's called the Houston Kids Try. The Houston Kids Try has, I believe, about 1,200 kids participating in their event. The majority of their participants are, their parents are the ones that are kind of interacting with Negative Split, and it's at a water park. So they get a lot of questions. And so they named their chatbot Texie, and it's been a game changer for them because when you've got 1,200 kids and their parents at a water park, a lot of questions. So being able to offer that 24/7 support, especially that last 24 hours where, if you want to look this event up, they have one of the coolest parking diagrams I've ever seen. They still get a ton of questions about parking. So this bot has been very helpful for him. Next slide. So here's some examples within Negative Split that shows how the bot is functioning. So the agent will let the customer know if they don't know the answer, and then offer to forward the question to the race. The customer can then input their information like their name and email, and it'll go to the race director. And then eventually we're going to be updating our Contact Us form to have the chatbot embedded, and then also the ability to then escalate to the race director. And hopefully one day in the future, we'll have some escalation options, meaning like if I have a question about volunteers, it could go to the volunteer person versus just the race director. Next slide. AI for race optimization. All right, let's go to the next slide. So I mentioned this earlier about pricing for ChatGPT. We at RunSignup have quite a number of our team members under what we call it's the team program. So we're paying around $20 a month. We are getting, a return on that $20 a month. So what I would encourage people to do is whichever tool that you get to, at a certain point, it will make sense to go to one of these kind of lower level. I don't think that the majority of our customers even need to consider things like the pro accounts at this point. The pro accounts are very beneficial for if you're doing programming, but the plus account kind of takes away this limitation of like, okay, you've kind of used your credits up for the day, and it kind of removes that as well as gets you access to the latest and greatest models. Again, it's not as robust as the pro, but most people don't need that. So I have encouraged many people to at least try it for a month. Like once you've gone through the process of really learning in this case, ChatGPT, but any of the AI tools that you feel comfortable with, making sure that you're upgrading to a paid account. So next slide. Using projects in ChatGPT. This is one of these practical takeaways that I hope will be helpful for people. If you've been using ChatGPT for the past 6 months or a year or however long, you have this long list of prompts that you've created, and then you can't find where you left off on an important conversation. If you create projects, and we're just using examples very specific to our industry, is you could create a project for your company, you could create a project for each one of your races. Either would be acceptable as long as you understand it. And what's really helpful is that then it contains all of the chats within that project. So you can then kind of organize and keep everything. And for many people who have used maybe Outlook or any of these other tools, you have folders. This is folders for ChatGPT. So you're keeping all that information in one spot. The other thing that's very helpful about projects in ChatGPT is the ability to add files and add instructions that curates this particular project. So if you wanted to, you could upload all the information about this particular race and all the data about it. So when you're having conversations with ChatGPT, it's got your participant data, it's got your marketing plan, it's all this information is included in the project instructions, which gives ChatGPT kind of a shortcut to start when you're having these prompts with this particular project. So I have found this to be very helpful. I've shared this with other people and they've shared it as helpful as well. All right, next slide. ChatGPT and email and website content. So this one is probably the most entertaining that I've seen. So we review races every day, and I would say a very large number of our new races are literally just going on ChatGPT and putting together a race description, and then ChatGPT writes it, and they're copying and pasting that into RunSignup. It's actually becoming more common to see that than to see what appears to be a human written race description. So we are very cautious about this because it's actually becoming very hard to basically, we call it univoice. Everything sounds and looks the same. All the emojis are the same because it's ChatGPT. It's going to kind of write the same thing over and over again. So what we would recommend is, writing your own race description, and you can run it through ChatGPT and then pick and choose the parts that you think are helpful. Or if you've done a ChatGPT, you can ask it to write in your voice. But just be really careful about just copying and pasting things in there because, again, it could have errors, it could have omissions, it could have just farces in there. So it also could become kind of obvious to participants too that it has been written by ChatGPT. All right, next slide. One thing that we would encourage, because this is something that is, it seems to be much more flexible, is the ability to create banners, color schemes, logos through ChatGPT. And I know this is a challenge for many people. So having, like, if you've got some great pictures, you can upload those images and logos into ChatGPT and have them make different versions or resize images. The only thing that we kind of caution people about is asking it to generate your banner image with people in it. So what we tend to find is that people look a little strange, or their hands look strange, or their face looks strange, like something about it just is off. Whereas if you supply it with an image, in this example here, you can see the Philly 5K dash, it's added that to an existing photo that was uploaded. So let's go to the next slide. So ChatGPT can help you create or change color palettes. So you can kind of give it a description. And again, if you've already built a project, in this project, you could ask it for examples of what a good color scheme might be. And it will then kind of analyze your race and the time of year that it is, and then give you a suggested color scheme that you can easily implement on your website or on your RunSignup website. This can be very helpful because, like for me in particular, I struggle with color schemes. I tend to pick colors that clash. And so ChatGPT is quite good at helping you figure out what colors might be appropriate for your event. Next slide. Logos. So you can ask ChatGPT for designing a logo. Again, if we've built a project and we've given it a lot of information about our event, it may do a pretty good job on the first try. We provide some kind of examples of how you can successfully build a logo in ChatGPT. With all images and banners, the caution that I give to people about this is that if it generates, like if you generate a logo and you ask for it to revise that logo because you're like, oh, that's like 90% what I want, occasionally it's going to get significantly worse on the next revision. And if that's the case, just abandon that chat and start over and kind of revise the description that you're giving for the logo that you're requesting. So to simplify, don't be afraid to quit and start over, because if you keep going down the path, you're an hour later, don't have the logo you want, and you probably could have fixed it in a couple minutes if you just started over. And it's also not perfect, so sometimes you may have to do some editing just outside of and they'll give you an option to download that logo once it's complete. All right, next slide. Creating a header image. This is another thing that I mentioned, but it in our kind of prompt, which may be somewhat difficult to see, but it says, "Can you help me make a banner image for a website using the photo attached?" It should include the words Philly 5K Dash with a subheader of March 20th, 2025. I need the final size to be 2000 by 800, colors to include, and these are the colors that ChatGPT gave, and you're giving the actual hex colors. This is how quick and easy it can be to build a banner. And obviously this prompt is very good, and maybe Jen, we can share that prompt with people so they can kind of maybe edit it, so they can then start building nice looking banners in just a few minutes. But this is an example of how you can use ChatGPT today to make your life better, because we get a lot of requests for help on banners, and I've used this myself. It's fantastic. All right, next slide. Resizing images. This is another one that we've, for years and years and years and years, have always had, people had requests. ChatGPT is pretty good to crop images, meaning if you're starting with images, larger images, it can crop that. You do have to be a little careful. If it's 1,000 by 1,000, you resize it to 2,000 by 400, the quality will decrease. You can kind of see this in examples. But if it's 600 by 600 and you're asking it to be 200 by 200, it does that really, really well. All right, next slide. So there is a concept within paid ChatGPT that are called GPTs. And so these are little applications inside of ChatGPT. Canva does have a custom GPT built in to the ChatGPT interface. And this will allow you to kind of maybe go further in editing and modifying images. We still would potentially recommend that there are limitations that if you don't have a pro account, you may not need one based on some of these tips that we've shared. But if you do a lot of editing, you may want to kind of have a combination of ChatGPT and Canva if you're doing a lot of image editing. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So Canva is one of the tools that we recommend. I just mentioned about it in the previous slide. Canva is actually kind of adding some AI tools to help with short videos, image editing, image creation. So this is where these tools kind of start to blend together a little bit. If you're doing really, really high-end images, you're probably going to want to at least try Canva. They at least in the past, they've offered free trials. In RunSignup, only a handful of our team members do have Canva accounts. Not everybody has them, so there may just be one individual on your team that may need that particular tool. But like one of the coolest AI tools that Canva has is, let's say you have this really cool image of 2 or 3 people smiling for your picture, but the background doesn't look as good as you want. Canva has the ability to actually like remove the entire background while keeping the fidelity of the people in the foreground, and then potentially like kind of, putting a new background behind it. All right, next slide. AI for data analysis. This is something else that has been discussed for years. Is how does my race compare to others? And I think AI opens the door for this a little bit. So let's go to the next slide. So how can AI help you with data? So if you're building, custom reports, whether that's inside of RunSignup or in Excel, it can help you compare, contrast, or understand multiple different data sources. It can also help you identify some of the race trends and patterns, and then compare your race to the average race. Next slide. So Google AI Studio is a tool that not many people are familiar with. So if you look this up, it's actually included in the Google Suite. And what this allows you to do is it's kind of hard to describe, and I'd love to play the video, but you won't be able to hear the audio appropriately. There is a function in Google AI Studio called Stream, and what Stream allows you to do is have your screen that you're looking at shared with Google AI Studio. And let's say I was looking at a Google Sheet or Excel of my participant data. I can then start either via text. I prefer to have like an actual conversation with Google AI Studio. And one of the great examples of Google AI Studio is, say you have a file and the file date and time format is wrong. And I cannot remember how to fix the date. I can have a conversation with Google AI Studio and say, I need the date to be in month, day, year format. Can you assist me with updating column F to this date format? It's going to say, sure, here's how you do that. And it's going to walk me through step by step. This also works for photo editing. This works for, say you're wanting to make a YouTube video or an Instagram reel, and you're using an application that you haven't used in a long time, or maybe you've never used. Google AI Studio's like understanding of software is pretty deep. So if you're trying to learn a new software or using something you maybe haven't used in a while, you can turn this on and stream your screen and have essentially an assistant who is an expert at, thousands of pieces of software help you. And there's other tools that you can do within here. So you can kind of, you could say, hey, I want to do some data analysis of like repeat participants or age of runners. It's some of the examples we've included in here, and it will help you walk through how to do that data analysis. And if you haven't tried this, again, it's the stream function that is mind-blowing. All right, next slide. So one of the ways that I tested this out myself was using Google AI Studio. I downloaded several years of data on our giveaways for a race. I streamed my window to Google AI Studio so it could access all years data. And I asked it to help me get averages for sizes and total orders over the past 5 years, and then asked it to help me build trends over time to see if the shirt sizes over the past 5 years had changed at all. All right, next slide. So let's see. Actually, did I skip that slide? No, I skipped that slide, didn't I? Yeah, AI for internal operations. All right. Jen, let's see what slide we're on here. Marketing and race plans. Okay, so one of the powerful tools within ChatGPT is it really is good at understanding your data. And we have a report that I recommend that you can potentially use for helping your pricing strategy. So in this screen that you can see here on the right-hand side, this is the RunSignup dashboard. We have a variety of different reports that you can download that takes into account whether that's, you can see like registrations per day, time of year that people register, time of day. You can take all of that data and feed it into ChatGPT to help you understand when do people register? What day of the week? What time do people register? At what price point do people register? And then ask for feedback on based on the current pricing of my race, should I move any of my price adjustments to different times of day, different days of the week, different time of the year? And some of these are very static, right? Like you're always going to change your price at the end of the month. But ChatGPT may have suggestions on saying like, hey, I'd recommend that you increase this price by $2 because more people will probably pay at that price point. So these are ways to kind of augment yourself, because these are really, really hard questions to answer, like what should I charge and how much should I charge? Next slide. So scheduling tasks. So this is one of the things that I kind of stumbled into. A little bit of this slide is actually now old. You don't actually have to identify the version of ChatGPT that you're using anymore with ChatGPT 5. It just automatically picks the best version of ChatGPT and runs it for you. So what this would allow you to do, and I'm going to use an example that I'll use an example that might not be obvious to people, is to say, can you say ChatGPT, every Monday, I would like for you to look for races in Morristown, New Jersey, occurring on June 10th, 2025. And I'd like for you to send me an email with all races occurring there. So every Monday, you would get an email of any races that are occurring, and you could change the words to events to see what else is going on. So you have an AI assistant now that is looking at anything that's happening on that particular day. And obviously you could expand that to say, June 10th and 11th. And the reason I might like to do that if I'm a race director is to find out if any races or any new events that I'm not aware of have been published and, might impact the attendance of my event. You also can use this for other things, such as reminding you to get, t-shirts ordered and things like that. So you probably would just use your calendar for that. But I think from like a scheduling, researching standpoint, there's lots of ways to use a scheduled research task. This is only available for pro accounts. All right, so next task. All right. So with scheduled tasks, this is ChatGPT doing it for you instead of you. So you can ask for it to search for information and provide you with updates on a dedicated summary. I personally have it email it to me. And then over time, you may find ways that you want to refine this prompt and say, hey, exclude political races. And ChatGPT sometimes might get confused and include information that isn't relevant to what you're asking it to research. So you might go back into that prompt and iterate on that. And the interesting thing that I did learn about this is that you can create tasks that are every day or up to every hour. I haven't come up with use cases for that, but maybe somebody on the webinar will. All right, next task, or next one. AI agents. So this is the newest thing, and even I asked Daniel, and he has not really even used that this much. So AI agents are brand new, about 2 or 3 weeks old. So AI agents are, there's different ways to describe it, but I would probably describe it as it's a combination of a virtual private machine along with an autonomous agent. So we're going to walk you through some examples here, but like in the screen, you can see on the right-hand side, like what it's doing. So what ChatGPT is doing is it's searching. In this case, it looks like, for information about Philadelphia. You could provide it with various instructions on what research you want it to do, and it's going to go to work. When I have done this, some of the tasks have taken anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. And this is just completely running on my machine without my interaction at all. I just provide instructions, turn on agent mode, and it goes to work. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and, well, let me mention that one other thing. If you have plugins on your browser, this may inhibit your ability for an agent to work. So if it's not working for you, it could be because you have a plugin turned on. But let's go to the next slide so we can be a little bit more specific about how you could use agents. So I wanted to provide a very practical example of how you could use an AI agent. So Johanna on our team puts on the Philly Mayor's Cup, and their current sponsors are Roadkill Running and Punch Buggy Brewing. And so what Johanna and I did as an exercise for our AI agent is said, we are looking for a few more local sponsors that would be a good fit for the event, but won't compete with our existing sponsors. Can you please come up with a list of 10 companies to reach out to, including the decision makers and their emails and phone numbers? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so what this did, and I don't remember exactly how long, it says took an hour to complete. Okay, so in an hour, ChatGPT found a list of 10 potential sponsors for the Mayor's Cup. And so what Johanna said, and she was very familiar with this, is that this is a good selection of local businesses with a focus on fitness. She still needed to do some vetting on that. It did find some potential contacts. Some were just kind of like their general phone numbers or emails. And if she was going to do this again, she would add more specifics, and maybe even provide examples of other races that had, sponsors that she would like to maybe pursue, or similar types of sponsors she would like to pursue, and then clarify the decision maker's contact information or what type of role that you're looking for. And what I've done sometimes is actually ask this to do this in 2 rounds. So round 1 is, can you find me the sponsors? And then round 2 is, can you look at this list and find a list of decision makers? Um, we what we have found is that being very specific in the location as well as the number that you're looking for, if you ask for 100, is not going to work. 10 to 25 at max is as good as you're going to get. But the really interesting thing that you can go even further on is you have the ability here to then take this list and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you create cold email pitches about my race that I could send to these potential sponsors? And it will create a unique email for each one of these 10 sponsors. All right. So next one is questions. So I'm imagining we have some questions. Jen, do we have questions for us to go through?
Let's see. One of the questions, and Daniel answered this, but could be useful for other people. Um, can you clarify if the project feature in ChatGPT is shareable so multiple users can leverage the same project in an interactive way?
That's a great question. The answer to that is yes, but the only way you can share a project is if you are on a team plan on ChatGPT and the other person you're sharing it with is on your same plan. You cannot share it with just another user of ChatGPT.
Perfect. One other question was, could we provide a cheat sheet of helpful prompts and uses for ChatGPT and other AI programs?
Yes, that sounds like a great blog post for us to work
Yes.
on. So that's actually a great idea for, and maybe we can even do it in a series to not like overwhelm people. Just kind of put together, here's ones for ChatGPT, here's some for Google AI Studio, things like that. Absolutely.
Perfect. I did note that down, so I have got my list of blogs to get done for everybody. Let's see. Joan just put in here, are you suggesting we use outside AI platform to do these tasks as opposed to using the AI you mentioned at the beginning of this session that RunSignup is helping to develop?
So the RunSignup AI chatbot is going to be built into the RunSignup platform, and it's going to be here to help you. The primary function of the RunSignup AI chatbot is from a customer service standpoint. A lot of the tools that I talked about today are, if I'm the race director or I'm the sponsorship person, how do I use AI to better promote my race, better organize my race? Another one of the big challenges of being a race director, and big frustrations, truthfully, is t-shirts. And so these AI tools, the more data you can provide to it, if you've been doing the race for several years, it can help you try to nail down some of your t-shirt ordering questions by analyzing your data for the past 5 years and looking at trends. So those are examples of just like ways to use AI to help you put on a better race. But yes, we are absolutely going to be helping you with the RunSignup AI chatbot, which will be a customer service agent for your race.
Perfect. I'm not really sure if this is a question, but I frequently share details from ChatGPT by downloading the details as a spreadsheet or document and are able to then share with people outside of our team.
Yeah, so that's a smart way to kind of get around some of the limitations is that quite often ChatGPT will generate a CSV. So then you can download the CSV and then, put it in OneDrive or put it in Google Drive as like a Google Sheet and then share that with other people. That's a really simple way to get around some of the sharing limitations. The share function does work in ChatGPT and I use it quite often, but I can only share that with other RunSignup team members. Like I couldn't share that with a friend that or my wife. I cannot do that. I can only share it, like I can share it with Jen, but not my wife because we're on the same team.
All right, this is a great question. Someone has entered the wait list for the chatbot. When will they find out if they get access to it? And what's the
Yeah,
process like?
so I'll answer part of it, and then Daniel, maybe you can get ready too. Is that I think so far we've onboarded about 6 races or 5 or 6 onto the chatbot. We had roughly 110 people submit through the chatbot. So we are doing our best to try to work through this, and at the same time, our goal is as soon as possible, which is hopefully in 2 months or so, anybody and everybody will be able to turn it on. So there's a little bit of tug of war going on within, whether it's the company or this person that put in the question of trying to get people onboarded through the wait list, as well as trying to actually build the chatbot out. And Daniel, I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add there.
No, that was good. I think the only thing I would add there is right now we're also just looking at a little bit smaller races that are coming up within the next few months. What we don't want to do is launch this onto a huge race and we miss something and something goes wrong and it messes things up. So we're just trying to focusing on some smaller races that the questions are much simpler, and I'm passing feedback over to engineering. They're building out things on top of that. So I would imagine that over the next 3 weeks, we'll start speeding up, rolling out more and more as things progress, and as engineering builds out more and more features and things that we see that we need to make it more automatic than it is for me to go in. Right now, I'm still doing a little bit more tweaking and a little bit of customization on the back end for our customers. And so we want to make sure when we start rolling this out larger that I'm out of the picture as much as possible, because I can't oversee 1,000 bots. That just isn't feasible.
Okay.
Thanks. It looks like those were all the questions submitted. So if there's no other questions, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be wrapping this webinar up pretty quick and then sending out the video as well as the slides. And if you have other questions that weren't covered here, it may have been too complex and we'll reach out to you directly. Thank you all for attending the webinar, and look forward to being able to share more AI tools with you soon. And that blog post that was suggested, we'll start working on that.
Now Joel here, one of our developers, has something he wants to say.
Like and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Hello, Internet. I'm here.
I should just have you record that for all the videos.